Hi, everybody, and welcome to part two of my The Greatest Things Ever Said series. The next one is from Carl Jung, and it's a wonderful quote. He says, "No tree can grow to heaven unless its roots reach down to hell." Just think about that for a second. No tree can grow to heaven unless its roots reach down to hell. I think that's an astounding image to think about. Jung use this image to express that true psychological and spiritual growth that they require confronting what he called the shadow, the darkness within. But I mean, that might not be true in every sense of the gospel, but it's certainly true in one deep sense that you can think of it that the closer we become to becoming a brighter light, the larger our shadow becomes, the more Christ-like we seek to be, the more we see how broken we are, perhaps. I mean, it's possible, of course, for our shadow to reach down to hell without much upward growth towards heaven, of course. If we plant our tree in faith and truly desire it to grow towards heaven, we will inevitably discover how hellish our roots can be. I think, to truly understand ourselves, we have to truly know ourselves. And that means facing up to the demons in us as well as the divine. Part of the spiritual wisdom is realizing that the painful, hideous processes we endure are actually opportunities to embrace the work that God's doing in us. We couldn't notice many of those ugly elements of our humanity so sharply if God wasn't already stirring something great within us. Um, and as the belly of the whale reminds us, we have to identify the the true essence of an unhelpful thing before we can work out its eradication. It's through allowing God in this way that our pain becomes joy, that our falsehoods become truth and our ignorance becomes understanding, that sort of thing. Losing our life to Christ, for Christ, isn't easy, but then nothing that's rewarding ever is. You have to descend into that belly of the whale, into your own unconscious, and face what's really wrong in some area of your life. You have to find what's missing. You have to identify which truths are still unrefined or just undiscovered. And you have to turn that realization into a deeper, more meaningful way of living. And by the belly of the whale, of course, I'm alluding both not just to Jungian psychology, but of course to the biblical story of Jonah. The belly of the whale, psychologically speaking, is that dark place where digestion happens, where new energy emerges. It's the descent into the deepest, darkest parts of our psyche to confront what lurks there, to subjugate its influence and to come out transformed. And this of course it's the pattern of countless hero myths, Homer to Virgil, Beowulf, Dante, right through to any of the modern fairy tales, to comic books, to movies, TV dramas. The more we see of heaven, the more we recognize as how hell disguises itself in our daily lives. It's how seductive and how alluring it is. And the more we see of hell, the more we realize that it's heaven alone that has the power to redeem it through Christ. We can't ascend towards light fully without confronting the darkness within ourselves. And just as the tallest tree draws stability from the unseen depths of its roots, our souls, in the same way, they find their grounding and they reach towards heaven through the courageous descent into our inner depths. And that's what that quote means, really. That's what Jung means. No tree can grow to heaven unless its roots reach down to hell. It's a stunning quote, and is so packed with depth and profundity. So thank you for watching, and tune in for the next one next time. And please do subscribe if you like it. And yeah, I will catch you in the next episode. Thank you very much.